Welcome to episode 184 of the Campus Comics Cast, where we are not under a comic watch, but a comic warning. So geeks, head to your basements, get to your safe place, and don't forget to grab that Hulk 181. My name is Scott Reed, and I am joined on this episode by...
Mike Atchison.
And Shad Schubert.
And this, of course, is our next phase episode for May of 2024, and I think we're just going to jump right in. And I do not have anything in the next phase catalog until page 34 DC.
We're going to jump straight into DC.
Straight into DC. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Sorry, Ahoy. Sorry, AWA. Cal Exit, whatever. Clover Press. Sorry. Comic Shop News. Into DC. So my first thing is on page 34 because I don't have a whole lot to say about Absolute Power, which takes up the front end of the DC catalog.
Has anybody read the Free Comic Book Day Absolute Power yet?
I did not even make it to a shop to pick up the Free Comic Book Day DC book, so no.
Okay. I haven't either yet.
Believe it or not, I went to a shop in Greenville, South Carolina. I was able to do an interview during Free Comic Book Day, but I didn't have time to look through the free books. I just met some creators and interviewed the shop owner, and so yeah, I didn't get this either.
Which creators did you meet? Anybody?
There were some local creators.
Cool. Okay.
Honestly, I can't pull the names out of my pocket real quick, but they had some neat stuff. Some with some science fiction prose novels. One guy did something called Octopus Inc. INC.
Okay.
What was the other one? But yeah, it was nice meeting him. It was definitely made for a different interview for the roadshow, so that was cool.
Nice.
All right. So anything before page 34? And that's of the next phase catalog, not page 34 of the DC catalog.
Yeah, I'm that's where I am. I'm at actually Absolute Power #1, which would be page 30 or so. I only wanted to comment that this is just the only thing that maybe tips the scale for me to pick it up or not pick it up is it's Mark Waid and Dan Mora. It's I doubt that I'll get the spinoff, or the the tie-ins or anything like that. But it's a story that's involving some recent new villains like Failsafe in the Batman books and Brainiac Queen and Superman books. There's the Amazo Kid or whatever. It's just like the new version of Amazo that's been fighting the Titans lately. So anyway, it features Amanda Waller as the main villain. I'll probably pick it up if it's I don't know if it's a four-issue miniseries. I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem to be too involved that I can't do that.
Did you pick up the lead-in, which was last month's? I guess it's not out yet, but did you plan to pick up the lead-in story as well? I think it was in a Superman title or Action, one of the two.
I didn't order them, but I'll look at them on the shelf now that I know they're connected to this. That's the ones with the Brainiac Queen. It's a Brainiac storyline, so I purposely stayed away from them because it was going to make me buy, several books that I wasn't necessarily buying, but now I may do it anyway, so.
All right, well, page 34, we have Absolute Power Origins #1, and this is the origin of Amanda Waller, and it's also written by John Ridley, so I believe it's a one-shot, which I may pick it up just because it's, one, John Ridley, and two, we kind of get some backstory for Amanda Waller, at least this version of Amanda Waller. 39 is my next thing.
Now, that was the Absolute Power Origins #1, right, Scott?
That is what I said. Yes.
Okay, I thought you just said Absolute Power #1, so I thought my pages were off. Yeah, that does look good too.
Yeah, I think it's the John Ridley writing,
Hmm.
also interests me. Page 39, if you were looking for the sequel to Nice House by the Lake, we now have Nice House by the Sea, issue number 1 from James Tynion IV. I didn't particularly care for Nice House by the Lake. I probably won't be picking this up, but if it's your cup of tea, then there you go.
My goal is to get the Nice House on the Lake read by the time this comes out, so that I can make the decision whether to pick it up or not.
So
Yeah.
Nice House by the Lake is your world tree, huh?
That's my world tree. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. There you go. And then, and prediction, the next 12 issue story arc will be
Ocean.
Nice House by the Ocean. There you go.
Along the river.
And then the fourth volume, if there is one, will be Nice House by the Water Planet. So I assume we're just going up in scale,
That's
and
right.
since it
Yeah.
is, well, I guess I shouldn't spoil anything. I guess I shouldn't go on any further with what I was going to say. So,
I like this. I know you said you didn't, Scott, but I liked the creepy factor of this, of the nice house by the, or on the lake. So, and it definitely left room for a sequel. So I'm gonna pick this one up.
so I'm going to tease our next episode. I will have some things to say about Nice House on the Lake whenever we talk about World Tree in an
Okay.
upcoming episode.
Okay.
My next thing's on page 49, though, so whatever you have before 49.
I got 41. Speaking of sequels, in kind of an offshoot kind of way, Joker's getting a The World treatment. We saw last year or the year before, I can't remember, the Batman The World, where we got international writer artist teams that came together for like an anthology type thing, and we are now getting that for the Joker as well. I read the free comic book day version of the world, which I know is just like one or two of the stories for the Batman the World book, and I enjoyed it. So I think this one probably will be of the same caliber, I would imagine.
Okay. 49,
And
anything for 49?
Yeah,
then
I
40.
marked.
Go
I
ahead,
got
Mike.
43.
Yeah, go ahead.
43. It's the from the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives one. It's more of a question than anything, but
I had
I
questions too.
thought I ordered the unpublished version of the losing side of the vote when fans
Hmm.
back in 1988 voted whether Robin would live or die, and this story that indicated that he was going to live was just recently published. I thought I had that ordered. Maybe I even have it. I don't know. But now this seems to be a continuance of that
Hmm.
story of what happened after, with Jason Todd living but seriously injured. Am I interpreting that right?
I think you're correct. That's the way I interpret it. It's almost like a what if kind of timeline kind of situation, um, from what I can understand. I don't. Has the from the DC Vault ever been an imprint that they've used before?
Not that I know of. That's what made it sound strange because it's not. That would imply that it's an unpublished story. But this doesn't. I
Well,
mean, this
is
has got J.M. DeMatteis and Rick
okay.
Leonardi as the creators. Now, J.M. DeMatteis was around back then, but I don't know if Leonardi was doing any work about that time.
Gotcha.
I,
I didn't know if this was like
So what year
an
was that?
unpublished script of what 429 could have been, if that's what this is, or if
mhm,
how that all kind of played out, if he would have been potentially the writer DeMatteis.
true.
Rick Leonardi was around. He's been around for a while because I know he was the artist on Spider-Man 2099 when it came out.
Hmm,
Hmm.
So he's been around for quite a while.
okay.
I don't know exactly what year that was.
But like I said, from the vault makes it sound like they've had this story locked away and
Hmm.
they are just releasing it. So
Agreed. Yeah.
I guess maybe did they have to have a second story in case the vote went the other way? Is that what they were thinking?
well,
Could be.
they
Yeah.
they they published that already, but they've released it. But now this is like a carry on, the carrying on that storyline as he recuperates and goes on with his career
Okay.
as Robin, I guess.
Okay.
Lots of
You said
questions. We'll
49.
only find out when it comes
49.
out.
Yeah.
There you go. Page 49, Nightwing 116. I guess I missed this, but it looks like we're on the final story arc for Tom Taylor
Hmm.
and Bruno Redondo on Nightwing. So I don't know if that means there's going to be a new artist and Tom Taylor continues, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're both leading. It's just their combined final story arc. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll see
Right.
where. And they're on the third issue of that final story arc. So I guess 116 being the third part of a 5-part story arc. So I guess 118 will be the actual final issue of this pairing.
I hope they don't reboot the numbering. I'm just happy to see a three-digit comic issue number.
Well, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and rain on your parade.
That's
And if it's a new writer, you will get a new number one.
well, if it's Marvel, that's for sure. If somebody decides to change their clothes, it's like, oh, we got to have a new number one. But
Page 55 is my next thing.
My next one's not till 151.
I'm 53, and I'm only mentioning this because while on vacation last week, I read Batman Dark Age number 1 and 2, and they have Batman Dark Age number 4 by Mark Russell and Mike Allred solicited here. Let me tell you, if you like Superman Space Age, you will love this even more. It's fantastic. It might be my favorite comic series for this year. So, and it's early. So,
Oh.
I don't know if you guys read any. Did you start reading this, or did you read the Superman Space Age?
Neither.
No.
I think you'd like this. Even you would like this. It'd be worth a try just to try the first couple issues.
Cool.
Page 55, Action Comics number 1067 features the return of Gail Simone for a 3-issue story arc. So that is a plus, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Eddie Barrows on art. I I just wish they could keep creators like her and Wade and just keep building the ranks, both in Marvel and DC. Just I know they got to keep opening doors for new creators, but man, what sells books are these ones that are established because you know what their talent is.
Well, that maybe is the question mark is are they going to sell more issues of Action Comics 1067 or are they looking for the flash in the pan hot artist, hot writer to temporarily boost sales and then it declines? Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know what any of these guys are thinking anymore. So
I don't know what they get paid. I don't know what the incentive
Yeah.
is for some because you've seen a migration of a lot of established creators go from the big two to independent, and there obviously there's creator right issues and they have more benefits along those lines. But it does make me wonder how DC and Marvel can get a Zdarsky or a Jason Aaron or a Gail Simone or a Mark Waid. But Mark Waid's almost like he's just a big fanboy. He loves to write these characters anyway. So
my next thing's on page 66.
All
Yep.
good on my end.
yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so just in case you missed it, Shad, Constantine Dead in America is now an 11-issue series.
Oh, I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was before, if
so
it was 8 or if it was 9 or
I think it was ongoing, but now it's officially 11 issues.
oh. I always
We're
knew it
on
would be
issue number
limited,
7.
but I didn't know when it would
Oh yeah.
end, but I had a feeling it was limited. They haven't had a Sandman universe book go much further than 10, I don't think, in quite a while.
And then I'm on 73.
I'd like to rewind to 64. I apologize. I thought
That's fine.
this was on a later page, but I seen that Justice League of America number 1 is going to be in a facsimile edition, so I will be buying that if for no other reason than to kind of pretend it's the original
Placeholder.
placeholder. That's right. Uh, it's one of my favorite covers of all time, so I will be getting it. Maybe 2 copies.
73.
Okay.
We have variant covers on several DC titles, and they give it give them to us here on one page from Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and they're basically the character study guides, I'm assuming, for Batman, Green Arrow, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, Shazam, and Wonder Woman. And it's kind of like that art that they have around for artists to use as reference. So they kind of have a front pose, a side pose, and a rear pose of all these characters side by side. So as a cover to a comic book, well, you got to turn the comic book sideways, but they are still pretty cool, and I will probably have to pick some up just for that reason. So.
I am such a Jose Luis Garcia Lopez fan that I have bought a couple of prints. There's the Superpowers version of the Justice League, and I can't help myself when I see these on eBay. and then I got to buy a frame to put them in, and then I don't have a place on the wall to put it, so I just hang it up there temporarily.
Page 79 is my next thing.
I'm done.
You're done with DC.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, then I have several more things in DC, so I'll just rapid fire them. Trade paperback, Wesley Dodds' The Sandman. This was a 4-issue series from 6-issue series from Robert Venditti. It's doesn't quite live up to Sandman Mystery Theater, but I thought it was a pretty good story overall. Page 84. Mike, I'm going to need your help on this one. We have a collection of some Elseworlds stories. So this is the Justice League Elseworlds. And they have a cover with Wonder Woman with a gun, a 6-shooter, so it's like an Old West style. Is that the Amazonia?
No, that's the
story, or is that something else?
Justice Riders. If I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
If it says that, no, wait a second, I'm looking at the list here. If it's not Justice Riders, it's League of Justice. But no, I think it's Justice Riders. It's I've maybe they're not listing everything in the solicit, but I have that, the original. I don't have all of them. Oh, there it is. There's Justice Riders. Yeah, that's it. So
I see it now.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, cool.
Back then in the '90s or the late '90s, there was about every month there was a new Elseworlds JLA title. Some are good.
Well, I just thought this was a cool cover. I like this
It
concept of Wonder Woman with a 6-shooter. I think that's pretty neat. And I if she doesn't block bullets at least one time in that story, then miss the opportunity. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, I am tempted. I mean, I didn't earmark it to talk about, but I am tempted to pick up these as reprints because there was mostly pretty good stories in those Elseworlds books back then. And I don't.
Well, I'm gonna have
have
to check
a lot
and
of them.
see if it's on the DC Infinite app. That's what I should do. So
Yeah.
then page 85 for anyone who is after listening to our JL April episode where we talked about Swamp Thing and Rick Veitch, there is a Rick Veitch Swamp Thing book 1. So you can get the first volume of Rick Veitch's writing duties on Swamp Thing, I believe. Includes annual number 3, by the way.
You guys could finally get it. Didn't we have a hard time getting a copy of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we were just a little early. So and that wraps up DC for me. So I don't have anything now until Image on page 159.
I got 151 in Image.
Okay. What about you, Mike? You got anything before 151?
No.
Nope. All right, Shad, it's all you.
All right, on 151 is the 5-issue miniseries by Chip Zdarsky and art by Rachel Stott, called The Domain #1, and this is the meta comic created by the Dallas Comics team as the reboot of the Domain character in the Public Domain book that we read. So this is a spin-off tie-in, I guess tie-in is what you would call it, not a spin-off, to Public Domain. And I think that's pretty cool that all is kind of, they're making this comic because we'll get into later, Public Domain is starting back up, and so this will be kind of telling the story that they're writing as the real life story is happening in Public Domain.
That's great art too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just did not enjoy Public Domain at all. So that's not a selling point for me. Maybe this the actual story will be better than the public domain story. So maybe I'll give it a shot, but that's why I skipped it because of the tie-in with public
Yeah,
domain. So.
gotcha. Gotcha. And I don't have anything till 176.
All right, so 159, we have Free Agents #1, and what caught my attention here was this was written by Kurt Busiek and Fabian Nicieza. So those are a couple of long term writers in comics. I just wish that these preview pages were something more than a big giant fight scene just to show the characters that are being introduced. I would have
Mm.
liked to have actually seen some real story as opposed to what feels like a Rob Liefeld sequence to introduce a comic book.
Right.
But that's just me. I don't know. 165. We have the Heretic hardcover, and this is a Sherlock Holmes story. So I'm not for sure. I feel like this is like a reprint of something that maybe was like a web. It doesn't say that any place in the solicit, so maybe it isn't. But maybe it is just a graphic novel. I'm not for sure,
Mm.
but it's a crime and mystery. How many pages? 120 pages, hardcover. I'm kind of interested in Sherlock Holmes stuff. So
Me too.
Nice.
175 is my next thing.
Yeah, I think Shad's going to talk about something on 176, so I'll go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, so well, I'll just say 175. This is Impact Winter Evenfall. It's a one shot, and the only thing that I have to say about this is it actually is a prequel story for what is going to be an Audible audiobook. So I guess it's
Mm.
a prequel tie-in, media tie-in to an upcoming Audible original. So Audible fans,
Ooh,
take note.
sounds good.
Mm. Nice. Yeah, and then on
S-
176, yeah, it's public domain number 6, which is a new story arc. And it is Chip Zdarsky returning as writer and artist. And now we're into what seems like an ongoing series. I don't remember if it was originally solicited as a mini series. Mike, you might remember more because you were actually picking it up.
it was a finite 5 or 6. Well, it would have been
Okay.
5 issues, obviously, but it was meant to be an encapsulated story, and it didn't make it. There was no indication that there was going to be follow up. You could
Okay.
have because I mean the
Mhm.
way it ended was a
Oh,
natural
absolutely.
spot, and where they're starting with this, it's I think basically saying that okay, so Dallas Comics is the book that or the company or whatever that
Hmm.
the dad of the family has the rights to that he didn't know about. So he's actually going to be this is going to be talking about how they get that company up and going without the corporate bad
Yep.
guys putting their foot on them.
Hey, and 100% kudos to them for choosing to go with issue number 6 instead of volume
Right.
2, issue number
Amen.
1. Huge
Absolutely.
Amen.
kudos.
Yeah, that's similar to what was that? There's another title that was buying, and I'd finished with 5, and I can't think of it now. So that makes for total nonsense on a podcast. But go ahead.
Maybe you'll think of it later.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
right.
My next thing's 251. So
Okay. You're good on my end.
I just want to mention on 181 that Saga number 67 back for its 12th season. This title is equal parts loved and frustrating its fans because it goes months, even years sometimes between issues. So good news for the Saga fans out there that it's starting back up with number 67 and a new story arc.
Doesn't start with a new number 1 every time. They just do a story arc
Right,
and they
right.
stop for like a year. So that's
Yes.
another one that we could throw some kudos to there.
I think they also normally announce their sabbaticals. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, hey, we're
That makes
taking we're
sense.
taking a
Yeah.
certain amount of time off. I'm not a Saga reader. It didn't do much for me the first volume, but I know a lot of people really like it.
Hmm.
Anybody else have anything for 251?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Okay, so 251. I just want to mention Spawn 356, cover art by Mark Spears, who was my featured guest at Berg Comics Con 2023 last year. So he's been doing Spawn covers. He's got some covers coming out for DC this year, and he is going to be the guest at the Metropolis Superman celebration coming up here in June. So, which I'll also be set up selling comics at. So anyway.
Okay.
So if you happen to be in Metropolis, Illinois that weekend, be sure and track me down.
We will.
254. Just more of a question. So we got the Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, issue 4 of 4. But have either of you read any of these Universal Monster books?
No, I haven't.
I started to read
Shad?
Dracula, and I think I got about
Mm-hmm.
halfway through Dracula, and it was really good. I was reading it
Okay.
on Global Comics on that app because you can read like for like your first few pages or whatever for free. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
I was reading on there, and yeah, I'm all for it. I'm hope to finish that at some point, and then we'll definitely dive into this one as well.
Okay. All right.
What
I
are
was
they
just
gonna do
curious because
next?
well, it'll either be what werewolf or
Frankenstein?
Frankenstein's monster,
Yeah.
right?
Wolfman, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wolfman. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
going back to page 220, I know that It's because I
You're
was
fine.
negligent here, but it's Fish Flies 7 of 7. So I know that Shad is a big Lemire fan, and
Absolutely.
I think you were reading this
Mm-hmm.
series. So is it living up to your expectations? Should
Yes.
we people that are behind the times just get the collected edition, maybe?
Absolutely. I mean, it is complete Jeff Lemire fashion of like it's a lot of heart and weird and his art style. I always am a big fan of his when he watercolors his own art. And
Mm-hmm.
then uh yeah, it reads very smoothly, and I'm excited to see how it ends because it is quite a weird little story.
Okay.
I'm on 261.
Oh, you're good.
Yep.
Okay. So 261, this is from IPI Comics, The Human Fly issue 0. So back in the late 70s, there was a stunt man named who went by the Human Fly. He was kind of like an Evil Knievel type, and Marvel had a comic for, gosh, it ran 20 issues, give or take, 3 or 4 issues. And now this is being rebooted for the real life super stuntman that was once a Marvel Comics hero. So we're getting an issue 0. You have both the classic costume cover and the new costume cover for whoever is the Human Fly now. I think part of it was like a big secret who he was. That's why he wore a full face mask. It wasn't like Evil Knievel. So I never really read them, but there's an in joke for some people who have been to Bird Comics Con. I used to do a Human Fly Award. It was kind of a joke, and then became something pseudo serious. So
Okay.
265. I'm done with Image.
One
So
more time. I got one more in Image. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Page 236. And I didn't bring it up last month in our previews, pre-orders, etc., because I didn't know about it. I have since interviewed the writer Doug Wagner for a book called Plastic. It was a 5 issue series published back in 2023. Was it
Mhm.
2022? Anyway, it's one of the weirdest, craziest, but good books I have ever read. And the reason I was kind of turned on to it is I interviewed the shop owner, a shop owner out in Salt Lake City, and this was the book he recommended. And he says, by the way, I can make connections, or I can connect you with Doug Wagner, the writer, because he's from here. So
Oh,
instead of doing a review of the book for the second part of the Roadshow episode, I interviewed Mr. Doug Wagner. And now this
wow.
Plastic Death and Dolls is the sequel that's coming out. Number 2 is listed this month, and I'm absolutely going to get it. It is just some of the weirdest stuff that you, but good. It's crazy. So I
Awesome.
definitely
Yeah, I read
recommend that. Yeah.
vinyl that came out a couple of years by him, and I thought that was fantastic. It was very like it was a weird like cult murder story, and
Yes.
I was into it very much so. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
the theme is like material. So you got plastic and vinyl and plush. And then, of
Ah,
course,
okay.
plastic I think was the most popular, maybe, or maybe it was just the first. But it's getting its own sequel, and it's called Death and Dolls. And of course, number two is what's being solicited this month. So
Awesome. All right,
pretty
I'm
cool.
in. I'll have to catch up.
Okay.
My last thing in the next phase catalog is from Mad Cave on page 265. It's Flash Gordon number one, and I'm really only mentioning this because there is a Sam Jones variant cover for fans of the Flash Gordon movie,
Oh,
which is the F cover for that. So it's a retail. Actually, it's a retailer incentive cover, so it may be tough to pick up. So, and I'm done with next phase. So whatever you guys have left in next phase.
Yeah.
I got a couple things in Oni. 290 is my next one, Mike.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. 290 is Epitaph from the Abyss number one, and this is Oni launching the EC comics brand again, and they're starting with this title, which is hasn't been on the shelves in 70 years. So they're starting off with they've got it looks like maybe four different stories in there. Brian Azzarello's on there. Stephanie Phillips is in the lineup. Jorge Fornes, Phil Hester. So they got some good talent in there, and I'm all for a horror book. So uh, that's would be pretty cool, I think.
And
Also,
to clarify, this is the first new title for EC in nearly 70 years.
Oh, it's all of
mm,
okay.
Yes, because there wasn't a title called Epitaphs from the Abyss.
Oh, there was not.
It
Okay,
was Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror. So this is a an all new title to go alongside those other
thank you.
titles, I
Okay,
think.
got it. Cool. And
and just
then
because I'm compelled to mention, oh, I'm going to mention something else in Oni
yeah,
Press,
go ahead.
Chad.
Yeah,
Biker
you're good.
Mice from Mars, only because some people in our little group like to assign anything Mars related to me. So,
Yeah.
Biker Mice from Mars looks like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles riding motorcycles
It
on
was,
Mars.
yes. Yeah, it
It
was
was
the
completely, yeah, the
yeah, it
toy
was
answer to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. This was I had originally thought I was gonna pick that book up, and I'm not so sure. I read I got the Nacellaverse issue zero that kind of previewed all of the stories a little bit, and after that I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm into it. I got what I needed out of that little zero issue on that, but it's going to exist. I might read it digitally once it like goes on sale or something. But that's it for
All
me.
right, I'm done as well with next phase.
Yep. Me too.
On to Marvel. All right, page two in Marvel, we have X Men number one. So basically, we have the House of X is kind of ended. So we are getting a new X Men number one. Jed McKay as the writer, Ryan Stegman art for the title. There's actually going to be four X titles. So we have X Men, X Force, NYX, and Phoenix that are starting with new number ones this month to go along with like Wolverine. I don't remember what other mutant titles there are. If they would keep it to X Men and X Force, I might consider picking them both up
Same.
Hmm.
because I would like to follow X Men, but I don't want to buy 18 titles a month to keep up with the
Absolutely.
X Men. So we will see what happens there.
So, featured on the cover of X Men number one, how long has Juggernaut been a? Is he sort of an anti-hero, or is he go in and out from being a hero and a villain, or what's his deal?
He's gone back and forth several times, and I think right now with House of X, they kind of had this. Really, they had like an amnesty program for all of the mutants to come to Krakoa. I didn't read very much of this, and my understanding of it is limited, so this is my
Hmm.
understanding of it. But they basically, that's why you had Mr. Sinister on Krakoa and
Hmm.
Juggernaut and some people who were generally considered villains. So I guess he'll be a good guy until somebody decides they need to tell a bad guy story with the Juggernaut.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Then I don't have anything till page 35 because it's all Blood Hunt and the weapon extraction story.
You don't want to talk about Aliens versus Avengers?
No, sorry. You can if you want to.
It's written by
I
Hickman, isn't
mean,
it?
oh yeah, this. I don't have anything really to say about it, but
No, I don't either. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of like those crossovers where they take the movie properties into the Justice League versus King Kong versus Godzilla. I didn't care about that. I
Mm.
don't care about Avengers versus Aliens. I just even back in the day when they were having like Batman versus Predator, I wasn't reading those books. It doesn't do it for me. So but I
uh,
am going to say on page 35, they really, really, really want you to buy Fantastic Four issue number 22 because it is not only issue 22 of Fantastic Four, it's a tie into Blood Hunt and it's a tie into Weapon Extraction. So if you are interested in FF or either of those story arcs, you have to buy FF number 22.
Plus,
It's
it's
a
an
little too
Alex
much.
Ross cover.
They've all been Alex Ross covers forever.
Yeah, but
So
it's
since that
definitely
boom
more
started,
unique with these. What are they? Vampires biting Reed
vampires.
Richards' cheeks.
So I guess they can't penetrate his plastic skin.
Right.
mm.
Probably hurts though.
uh, Backing up a little bit, I got three in a row. On 20, we've got Wolverine Deep Cut #1, which is a four-issue miniseries written by Chris Claremont. And it's another. I always think it's cool that they're going back and kind of filling in blanks. I'm sure that it's an easy grab also to do it, but he's back in Uncanny X-Men 246, picking up where a story left off and doing a little cutting room floor, I guess, of things there. Um, and then on page 22 is Life of Wolverine, which is a one shot telling Logan's life story in chronological order for the first time. So if you're a new Wolverine fan, this might be one to pick up and you can kind of check out everything, though I'm sure it's not his entire life. And it's kind of choose your own adventure of whatever life they decided he has as timeline goes.
I hope it's not one of those like at least of these books called like Marvel Saga, and it was mostly text with like the occasional picture.
Oh,
I hope it's not. I hope it's not like that.
yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
But it does list
And
the separate artists, so probably it
that's
isn't.
true.
But
Yeah. And then on 23 is the Marvel and Disney What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine #1, which just makes me wonder if this is what we're going to get with are these covers going to now spin off that they did all of last year into What If stories themselves, which might be funny. I don't know. Who knows?
page 38, I just would like to personally thank Marvel Comics for giving us a new Namor #1 just in time for our upcoming first five on the Submariner himself. So it
Perfect.
will. I think we'll beat him to the shelves, by a little
Hmm.
bit there. But after you list our first five, within just a few weeks, you'll be able to hit your local comic shop and pick up a new #1 for Namor.
Yeah, I had this mark too. I look forward to seeing what Jason Aaron's take will be on the ultimate anti-hero.
And probably the first, as he would be
Are the
considered the
first, yeah.
first. It's
Yeah,
he's pretty
I'd
close.
say.
If he's not the
The
first, he's
first
right up
mutant, at
there.
least, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a retcon, but yeah. And then I am done with Marvel because man, with all the Blood Hunt and Weapon Extraction, there just wasn't much for me this month in Marvel.
I got on 47 is Spider-Man Reign 2. I feel like I've been told to read Spider-Man Reign that it was a good story, maybe. And so they're sequelizing it before I actually get a chance to read it. And I realized it probably came out, what, over 20 years ago.
It's been a minute, and it's a controversial story because you get to see little Peter Parker in the story. So
Oh, okay.
that's a
Gotcha.
euphemism, by the way.
I picked up on that. Oh,
I'm done
and
with
then on
Marvel.
okay, on page 68 is Marvel Zero #1, which they are just collecting their free comic book day books and selling them to you for $7, which I thought was just funny.
What a deal.
Yeah.
And then 76, which is my last like real one, which is Star Wars Inquisitors #1. This is a 4-issue series that dives into the Inquisitors, which I don't feel like we know a lot about if you follow the whole Star Wars side of things of the program and when it was created and how it all. Although I only have watched movies and TV shows, I'm sure there are books that give you much more information on it. But I like my books with pictures and therefore comics.
I think there's probably also quite a bit about the Inquisitors in some of the video games.
Okay, that
I
makes sense.
think. I would have to ask my son about that to be for sure because I
Gotcha.
haven't played a Star Wars video game since like Jedi Knight 2 or something like that.
That's all I had on Marvel.
Okay, Mike, you have anything else in Marvel?
I'm just going to make a couple random comments. The Immortal Thor number 13, it features a arm wrestling match between Hercules and Thor. It's it just kind of reminds one that these two have paired up many times to to face off and see who's the most powerful god. So I just love the cover by Ross. Pretty cool. And then I was going to ask you on Captain America number 11. I see that J. Michael Straczynski's still writing, and I know you
Mm-hmm.
were picking that up. Has it? Have you been keeping up with it?
Yes, I'm probably an issue or two behind. I'm still reading it. I still have the same take on it that I had previously,
Mm-hmm.
which is that it is worth reading. It's not a story that's going to make you pick it up and get excited about it, but it's also not a story that's going to make you want to leave the
Mm.
book.
Okay. All right. That was it for me as well.
Okay, so pull box. We'll just round robin. Well, actually, let's start at the top. I don't have anything from, I guess, the quote unquote premier publishers for Diamond since we're only down to what, Boom and Dynamite. So, do either of you have anything from Boom or Dynamite?
I've got
I
some
do
boom.
from. Yeah, I do too. But go ahead, Chad.
Okay. My first one in Boom is Hello Darkness #1, which is a monthly horror anthology with a star-studded group of people. And the big thing on this one is because everybody's got a monthly horror anthology, it seems like now, is if you
Mm-hmm.
are keeping track of something that's killing the children, there is a spin-off that's going to be in the first 6 issues of this. So if you're a completionist for something that's killing the children and that whole world, you're going to have to pick up Hello Darkness or wait till it gets collected afterwards.
Yeah, I had this mark too. That was the one I was going to mention in Boom, and but
Oh,
it's
I'm
got some
sorry.
stellar. Oh, that's okay. Uh, it's got some really good creators with Ennis and Tynan and Azarello on the writing, and then illustrations by Clunan and Del Adira, Del Rey. I mean, I just, of course, naturally after reading the title, I started singing the Simon and Garfunkel song, my
Mm-hmm.
Hello Darkness,
Uh-huh.
Mild Friend. So maybe that'll be the mild friend will be
Come to talk to you again.
yes, that'll be the sequel.
And my other thing in Boom was just it was more of a note than anything. They're now doing the Dark Crystal archive editions, and #1 is in here. They're soliciting for. They're soliciting this as 1 out of 3, but there were only 2 issues of the Dark Crystal originally when they published it. So I'm curious what's going to happen if the 3 is a mistake or if there's an extended version that I don't own because I'd like to, if that's the case.
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
way
all
out there
from
on
Boom.
237.
Well, I don't have the physical catalog, so we're just going to round robin unless you guys have anything from Dynamite.
Nope.
I do not.
I'm
Round the
looking up
robin.
Dark Crystal on Comics Price Guide and just double checking. Yeah, there are only 2 issues. So
Hmm.
of the Marvel series. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. All right, so we'll just round robin what we have left. So Mike, why don't you go first? I got three things. How many things you have left, Mike?
Two,
More than
probably
three.
five or so, four or
I
Okay,
five.
got
Shad,
five.
you got how much you got left? You got
Five.
five. Okay, so
Yeah.
you guys go first, and yeah.
Okay, so Seven to Eternity is on page 167 of the physical catalog. It's the Seven to Eternity Compendium. It's that series that was written a few years ago by Rick Remender and had absolutely marvelous art by Jerome Opeña. It's like 400 pages, going for 35 bucks, and I know that I've read the first volume. I'm in the middle of reading the second volume, but I think this is something I want to have on my shelf. Matt Martin and I reviewed it a while back, and the first volume was fantastic. So, if you like anything that's kind of mixes sci-fi and fantasy both, on
Nice.
to you.
From Dark Horse, we have Guilt Frame #1, and I'm only mentioning this because it's Matt Kent and his mom writing a murder mystery comic together. So I thought that was kind of fun if you're a fan of Matt Kent.
Yeah, I can't ever imagine teaming up with my mom to write anything
Right, that's
except
what
maybe
I.
recipes.
He's been promoting this in his newsletter that he does, that he teamed up with his
Oh,
mom,
has
and
he?
he
That's
also
funny.
yeah, and his wife is also a comic creator as well, Charlene
Oh,
Kent.
That I
I
I
don't
thought I'd
remember.
seen her name before. Yeah.
Mhm. I can't remember what they've worked on some things together. I think it's primarily on the art side, on like maybe like inking
Okay.
or coloring that she's done. I don't remember 100% for sure about that though.
Gotcha.
So we have from Titan Comics, we have the next Blade Runner comic. This is Blade Runner Tokyo Nexus. So this is apparently set in Tokyo in 2015. So it's in our past, but it's in the Blade Runner series' future from the original Blade Runner. So this is a new, I'm not for sure, a 4 issue series coming out from Titan.
and is Titan has the license for Conan now too, right?
Well, Conan's in the public domain,
Okay.
so I guess there are maybe the public domain Conan, and then of course the Robert E. Howard estate
Yeah.
Conan. I don't know how that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how with copyright law that works. But they may have the official one if they're maybe paying for that. I'm not for sure.
Right. Okay. Okay. Back to me. I see Valiant is back in the saddle again, and that's
Hmm.
appropriately said because the issue or the comic I'm wanting to talk about here is called Eternal Warriors: Last Ride of the Immortals. They look like they're all on horseback, and it's under the banner of Road to Resurgence, Valiant Universe. So I guess this is their efforts to bring themselves back to a state of financial stability. And I like this Western theme here and the immortality aspect of it. Actually, to be honest, I'm rooting for the underdog here, wanting to see Valiant stay alive. So I'm gonna at least pick up one series from them.
Nice.
And they got Fred Van Lente doing the writing.
Yeah, I
So
like him. Yeah.
I've got. I'm gonna not. I'm gonna group these two together. From Dark Horses, Nightclub #2, #1, or Nightclub 2, #1, which is Mark Miller's teen vampire story getting a second part. It was originally an Image book, if anybody remembers, and the big whole shtick was like it was like 2.99, and so they were selling a $3 book. This is now a Dark Horse and is a $5 book. So that whole structure did not work out for him. And then he also has a book called Prodigy Slaves of Mars #1, and I only mention this because it says that it's soon to be a Netflix film. So I'm sure with his, I didn't realize that Civil War movie was a book that he had written that was just
oh,
out.
okay.
So I'm sure he's got a whole line of. I know he's got a deal with Netflix, so he gets first look there and everything already. But got another book that's immediately going to be a Netflix series, movie or series or something.
The only thing I can say about that Civil War movie was one of the funniest things I've seen recently was a review of it where somebody was complaining how they weren't true to the original story. That the Iron Man character was completely wrong. The Captain America character was non-existent. They just went on
That's
as a joke
awesome.
about Captain America's Civil War.
Yes, that's amazing.
All right, from Abrams Comic Art, we have a Dune graphic novel number 3, The Prophet. So this is the comic adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune. This is the final book for the original 1965 novel. I have the first two, and here
Hmm.
is the solicit for the last one. And if you missed the first two, those are also available for reorder in this catalog as well.
Nice.
Okay. I'm looking at Distillery now. It's The Big Burn. This is a new series. It's by Joe Henderson and Lee Garbett. And basically, it's a supernatural heist type thing. A pair of thieves who sold their souls to the devil recruit a group of their fellow damned for the ultimate heist to break into hell and steal their souls back. So again, with Distillery, these oversized books. I've bought a couple of them. In fact, I just got the one by Azzarello and Rizzo, Blood Brothers Mother, and I don't know. I'm becoming a big fan of that magazine-sized format.
I personally despise the big magazine size format, and I
Same.
have not been overly impressed with any of the stories Distillery has given us so far, so I've stopped talking about them until they do something good.
All right.
I have hope. And then from IDW, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. We're getting a reboot or a jumping on point, I guess, with written by Jason Aaron, art by Joel Jones on there. So it might be my time to actually. This might be a good jumping on point for me because I've been wanting to start reading Turtles again, and that run that IDW had was going for so long. I was like, I'm never going to catch up to that. So this might be a great spot.
So I'm gonna throw out a game from Goliath Games. There's been a murder board game, and this is a game for 3 to 8 players. I feel like it's gonna have a feel sort of similar to games like Werewolf, aka Mafia, where you kind of have some secret identities, but it is a collaborative, cooperative game, just more for a group setting as opposed to a real intense like 2 hour gaming session for those more serious games. So easy to learn rules, elegant gameplay, looks interesting. I will probably pick this up at some point.
All right. My last one is a reference book that's on page 426 under the publisher Skyhorse. It's The Science of Superwomen, an evolution from Wonder Woman to WandaVision, and it's 240 pages for only 16.99. So it's got quite a bit of content, and it just talks about women superheroes uh, through the ages. So I like my reference books.
My last
That's it.
one is a book called Dirt Witch, and it's a one shot, and I only am picking it because it's got a weird, creepy cover on it, and the cover and interiors are done by Thomas Tikas, and so I might read it just because it's a horror one shot with a weird, creepy cover on it.
And my last thing, I got one more board game. This is from Renegade Games Studio, Ezra and Nehemiah board game. It's a worker placement style game, and it's one thing that's nice about it. It is available to play solo or with up to 4 players, set in ancient Jerusalem. All right, so Mike, what are you looking forward to out of the catalog this month?
Well, believe it or not, it's the Action Comics 1067, written by Gail Simone and Rainbow Rowell, and with art by Eddie Barrows. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I know that I don't think Rainbow Rowell. She's been the writer on the sensational She-Hulk, and gets a lot of good reviews. So I between her and Simone, I think it's going to be a good issue. It's actually a three-part arc, so that's that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, Shad, what about you?
Oh, this is a hard one for me. I'm gonna go with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think it might be, like I said, the time for me to jump in. So I think it's what I'm most excited for.
You could you can say more than one thing. It's allowed.
Oh, I don't know. I
If
was
there's
having
something
trouble
else that
picking
you're
one
if you're
thing.
teetering. Oh,
No, I was
okay.
having trouble picking one thing to be excited about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the third graphic novel for Dune. Again, I've been holding on to the first two. I don't know why. It's not like I haven't
Have you
read the
read them at
books
all?
multiple times.
You haven't read
I have not
the.
read any of the
I
novels. I have
haven't
read the
either.
actual
Yeah.
book multiple times, plus listened
Yes.
to it on audio multiple times.
Yes.
So I'm very familiar with it. That's why I was so upset with the second Dune movie,
That's why I don't
and
know
because
why I
I
haven't cracked both of either of those books either, but I they're on my shelf as well, and I have not started reading them. So maybe once I get the third one in,
yeah.
I'll actually start the first one.
And I don't really feel like I need to read them. I just wanted to have them,
Yeah,
just like the complete story in a graphical format. I think it'll look nice, all of them together on
yeah.
the bookshelf. One thing that there's a slipcase version, which I don't have the slipcase versions to them. So now I have to decide, okay, do I go back and get the slipcase versions for the other ones, or do I just live with the non-slipcase version? I'm not for sure what I'm going to do there.
This
So,
is a dumb question, but is the slipcase just the jacket around the book?
well, it's not real specific on the solicit what it actually is. Let me see if I can find that information because it didn't give a whole lot of details.
Okay.
There's a deluxe collector's edition. So the deluxe collector's editions, which are offered here, what does it say? The deluxe collector's edition boasts an increased trim size, printed on high quality matte art paper in a faux cloth slipcase
Oh,
with gold foil stamping tip on cover.
dang.
So I guess this is for the suckers like me who already bought, because it's actually for when I say that the volumes 1 and 2 were offered again. That's the offered again. So this is probably for again the suckers like me
Hmm.
who are big. Dune is my number one science fiction book out there, all time favorite. No other science fiction book is even close to it as far as I'm concerned. And they're probably going to get me to spend the extra money, even though I already own the first two without the slipcase. And I'll probably order the third one and then forget and then order the slipcase version whenever it comes out. So
That's what we do, Scott.
I know. I guess I got to have one thing to waste money on. That might as well be it. So, all right, Mike, you got an investment pick for us?
I am struggling here. I really don't. I just
I don't think there is anything. There is nothing to me that's jumping out. It's like I should buy this, and I'm buying 4 copies of this. So I'm right there with you. There's
Yeah.
nothing this month that is screaming buy me, buy me.
yeah.
So I mean, there's not even anything I'm even like maybe on. It's like this is if you're just buying comics for investment value, this month is a bust as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah, most of it seems like there's a lot of like sequely or it's the
Hmm.
adding on to the story kind of stuff this month, which is not all bad,
Yeah.
but it doesn't lend to a lot of investment picks.
No. No. And I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about that. I
Yeah,
like the idea of just them getting out of the new number one, you
absolutely.
know, uh, but it would be, it'd be nice to have something new creative wise. I mean, the closest thing for me was that Free Agents number one, and it just feels too much like an Image '90s book to even think
Yeah.
about recommending, even with the credentials of the writers, Busick and Fabian Nicieza on it. So. All right. So, Shad, what do we have coming up in what should be episode 185 of the Campus Comics cast?
In 185, we're going to be talking about the first five of the Submariner or Namor, and we're also going to be doing Volume 1 of World Tree.
All right. And, Mike, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, where could they do that at?
That would be matchison90 at gmail.com or mikeatchison5 on X. And no, I have not yet opened up a Blue Sky account like I said I was last time. It must not be that important because I keep forgetting.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Shad, what about you?
You can find me at shadschubert.com. That's SHAADSCHUBERT. And also check out, we've got some upcoming shows for Shad and Thomas, so come check us out.
And I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at burgcomics.com, burgcomics.com, with links to social media and my eBay store. And I will be set up at the Metropolis SuperCon taking place during the Metropolis Superman celebration that first full weekend in June. So if you happen to be in the Metropolis, Illinois area that weekend, stop in and say hi, buy some comics off me, go talk to Mark Spears while he's there. And we'll be back soon with episode 185.
Okay, well then you just have to mute yourself. Does your headphones not have a mute option on them?
Oh, I mean, the Skype does, but I don't think the headphones do.
Yeah, mine does. They probably do. Okay. So yeah, see mine does. So like you can't hear me right now because, oh, you know what? I can hear you. It actually still recording. Could you hear me? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, because what did I do? Let me try that again. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can't hear you now. All right, I hit the wrong button. Oh. I turned off I muted you guys. Oh, okay. So yeah, which was a pleasant experience, but
You must be a glutton for punishment because we've been doing these for 5 years. 6
yeah, I know.
No, my God, how long have we been doing this?
I don't know.
Since
It's been
17?
too long. Yeah, it's been a couple of days.
Couple of days.
All right. 3, 2, 1. I'm the only one who did it. I did it. You guys didn't clap.
Oh, we were all supposed to clap.
Yes, that way you have, if the mark is in everybody's file, and I can line that click up.
I clicked the mark. I got a little red dot right in it, but we can do it again.
I'm working with a bunch of amateurs. I got it. I did it. I know. I just couldn't see you do it because your video's on. That's true, yes. All right, we'll try it one more time. All right, try it again. 3, 2, 1.
All right. You ready to do a 3, 2, 1 clap to get an end mark?
Sure.
Oh, you already stopped? Oh, okay. That's okay. Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead and stop it then. So.